Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun.
Good morning, everybody. Sorry, I'm a little bit late here, but okay, so here we're getting the non-farms number here. It is lower than expected. 209 versus 230. Oh my gosh. This market just get any more zany? Oh my gosh. How? So here's the thing, though. First of all, I'm not planning on trading this. Okay, but here's the thing. I'm still stuck at, does this number even matter anymore? Because I just don't buy them. How can you have ADP be 400, practically 500? And the headline non-farms payroll is 209 versus an expected 230? What? This is my breakfast, I guess. I don't get it. Make it make sense! Let's get some music on here. It's almost like someone is cooking the books. Like it's been like this the last 3, hasn't it? But like, here's the thing. The payrolls have come in higher than expected, like every time. Like it's done it like what? It did it like 16 times in a row or something crazy like that, right? Now, the one time where if it was above expectation, it would like just absolutely destroy the market. It's magically just enough below expectations to make the market rally. It is more than just a little bit suspicious at this point. There is no question about it, man. There is going to be real questions about this one, right? People are going to start asking questions because this number makes no sense with all of the other data that we got this week. Because you know what? Like, look, treasuries, micro yields are still just a bit above 4%. Granted, they were like 4.07 before this. But, like, I don't think the yields are going to come back. I think we're staying above 4% because the Federal Reserve is going to raise, right? Let's look at one of those stupid bugs. Dude, so, like, I thought, oh, it's just 1 or 2 of them. No. So then I really took a look. Like, I got a flashlight, and I really took a look at my snake plant. And there was little flies all over it. All over it. You could just see them like scuttling across the dirt. Like they don't come off of the plant. Most of them are just scuttling across the dirt. Oh my gosh. And okay, so there was one time when we had a banana in the pantry. And it was just like hidden. It was on a shelf, and we'd never store bananas in the pantry, and so you would never be looking for it. So we thought that it was just like you just got a fly problem, but no, it was like there was something somewhere rotting, and it just took us a really long time to find it, and so we had tons of flies because of that. And I swear that experience like almost sent me into a mental breakdown, like. It because being ADHD and just having like a little fly come and bother you every 5 seconds, it just drove me absolutely crazy. So coming in and seeing all those flies like so seriously triggered me. Like, and I kind of discovered it just before I went to bed. And I'm like, well, okay, I guess I need to go and find one of those little stick things that maybe that will attract the flies more than the vinegar that I have out. Because maybe these aren't the kind of flies that are attracted to the vinegar. And like, I woke up at like 2 o'clock thinking about it. I could not go back to sleep. So I did not sleep well. I could not stop thinking about it. And so eventually I came down, I tried vacuuming around it, but the flies were all on the thing, so you couldn't vacuum them up. So I just took the plant outside. But there's still 1 or 2 flies flying in here. So I didn't have a good night's rest. But man, this could not surprise me more. I don't know why. You know, often when it comes into a non-farms number, especially when we were getting those non-farms numbers that were just like really big, really big deals back in 2022, right? I'll always start having daydreams about what's going to happen and what you might do in certain scenarios and things like that, right? And this was not in any of my scenarios. Holy crap. That thing moved 7 basis points back down. That is insane. Okay, let's come to Zero Hedge and see. I need conspiracy fuel, man, because that number is just, oh my gosh. Oh, looks like the French passed that law that allows them to secretly activate phone cameras. Good morning, Mushin. ES had a 3K at 451. Yeah, you're right. I see it. That is, for this early, that is quite unusual, isn't it? Well, let's come and take a look at the charts real quick. Kind of see where we're at. So here's the daily in the S&P 500. I'm still kind of wondering if you ever come back to that 10% drawdown area. It's been like, what's such a long ride, man? Oh, I did a back test the other day, and it was like, I finally had the data to go back all the way to 2011. All the way back to 2011, guys. And it was a real trip. I'll show you that a little bit later. But anyways, okay, so here's the treasuries. We had a pretty decent move down overnight, and that all just got retraced in that news move. S&P 500 also, well, I don't know. There's kind of something going on here. I don't know. That looks like news, but I'm not aware of any kind of significant news that might have caused that. Oil seems to be doing okay. So the Biden SPR, or the Biden administration, continues to draw into the SPR to keep the price of oil somewhat depressed. But the Saudis are fighting it, and it seems like the Saudis over the past week or so have been winning. So, and we got gold and silver are fighting, especially gold, man. Look at that. Silver, not so much, but gold. Gold hit back hard. And you got copper. Copper is also moving up off of this. And then you got Bitcoin. Well, Bitcoin is a different story. Oh my gosh, did I push the X button on that? I don't want to screw up my workspace. I'm gonna close it and say no. And then reopen it. Okay, Bitcoin. The other day when rates started rising, Bitcoin got hammered hard. They have recovered a little bit off of this non-farms payroll, but not too much. And I'm a little concerned about the situation in Bitcoin, because if interest rates continue to push higher here, Bitcoin, I think, is very, very vulnerable. And, we've seen some of these big whales. They have like tripled, quadrupled down now at this point. I really don't know how MicroStrategy continues to pay their bills if Bitcoin takes another plunge. So that one is worth keeping an eye on. And the dollar coming down to 102.33. So actually, the dollar could actually end up lower on the week, maybe? So that's where we're at. Okay, let's see here if I got some better analysis here now. Department of Defense invokes Defense Production Act to boost metals mining after China export controls. This is pertinent to my interests. U.S. Defense Department announced on Friday it is invoking the Defense Production Act to boost domestic mining and processing capacity of rare earth metals, gallium, germanium. Oh, just of gallium and germanium. So who produces that? Reuters said the Pentagon has strategic germanium stockpile, but no gallium stockpiles. The move to invoke the Defense Production Act comes after China announced Monday that it will impose export controls on the two metals, citing safeguard national security and interests. As a refresher, gallium is most common in semiconductors, transistors, and small electronic devices. It is also used to make LED. As for military grade, gallium nitride is found in cutting-edge weapon technology that the U.S. defense companies produce. Three of the most common uses for germanium are rectifiers, transistors, and weapons sighting systems. Got it. Well, this is in response to China clamping down on some of their worth. So I think what's been going on here is the U.S. and China have kind of entered into a little bit of a posturing phase. And this doesn't appear actually to be as related to Ukraine as you would think. So in the beginning of this, the Chinese seem to be very aligned with the Russians, and I think you guys can all kind of remember that. But more recently, the Chinese have kind of distanced themselves from it a little bit. I think that the Chinese feel that this war is harming their economy, and they're kind of sick of it. But they're not willing to like outright betray Russia or anything like that. But they are kind of like quietly signaling like this needs to end, right? But then the split side of that is that ever since the Biden administration has come in, and I think even a little bit before that, they've been kind of pressuring China on certain things. And you know, like semiconductors. So for instance, China is not very happy about some of the moves that the United States is making in semiconductors. This is one that I had kind of forgotten about, and I did not realize how big of a fucking deal it is. Okay. Oh my gosh, I got so much on my mind now because of this. Because let me show you. Here's our favorite stock. Oh man, you don't believe that? After it being dead for who knows how long, it did indeed move up off of this news, and it looks like somebody new. It looks like somebody new. I think I may still be down on the position though, actually, to be honest with you. Because I think I got it at 0.7. Let me go check. Go check now. I'm super curious now. So, anyways, so one of the things that happened more recently was that Warren Buffett divested himself of Taiwan Semiconductor. And everybody was kind of like, well, what does he know? What's with that? And he thought it wasn't worth the geopolitical risk and things like that. And we're all like, well, I don't know. Does that mean that China's going to invade? That sort of a thing? Yeah. Here's what's really going on. Okay. Is the United States has determined that it is so much of a risk that they need to move all of that production over to the United States. And so the Biden administration gave big grants to the semiconductor industry and is building like multiple plants down in Arizona. So this is another thing that you probably heard about, right? But what probably did not dawn on many people, because it certainly didn't dawn on me, is that essentially, once they finish those semiconductor factories, that essentially means that the U.S. and the semiconductor supply chain is no longer at risk of a catastrophic failure of the global semiconductor industry if China invades Taiwan. And they were talking about this on the All In podcast, and I just caught a clip of it. One of them said that they speak to a rich family in Taiwan, and they were saying that when that last semiconductor factory in Arizona gets finished, they're leaving Taiwan because they're concerned. They're so concerned about it. And I don't think that necessarily means that the United States is going to like abandon Taiwan necessarily. It certainly does concern me that they will, though, right? And yeah, so it's all very, very interesting, isn't it? Oh, no. I'm like way up. Because I got it at 4.7. I got it at 4.7. Could this stock go back up to its high? Oh my God. This could be so juicy. Well, its high was at $4, by the way, just so you know. Man, I have not done my research this month yet. You know, like it's time for me to be doing. Let's go to Yahoo Finance. Because I tell you what, this is so funny to me to go and read the Yahoo Finance comments on this. Because there's this one guy that is very clearly short. And if you come into, where is it? Oh, where did it go? Conversations. Oh, they changed the layout. It's to the left there. There's this guy that's very clearly short and is just really, 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 really loud. See, like these guys, I'm short everything. And it's like, okay, so why? Like, it's kind of a funny thing. It's kind of turned into a funny thing because it used to be like, if somebody was commenting on a company, I would want to say, well, so do you own the company or are you short the company? Because it's kind of like, well, are you going to put your money where your mouth is? Right? But since the GameStop thing, it's kind of turned into, well, if somebody's short and they're commenting about it on social media, I don't really trust what they have to say because they're just trying to scare other people out of it to keep the price depressed. And I think that's been going on with all of the rare earth metal sector, essentially. Now, there has been this problem, which is that this company, Synchron, people are concerned that Synchron has been trying to drain rare earth resources, the company. So that's kind of been going on. Wow. Okay, so there is lots. No, I don't think so. So this is the guy. Sam right here is the guy that's like excessively short. It's just like this stock was left for dead. I mean, really. This stock was left for dead for almost a year. And the whole time, this guy is commenting excessively on about it. It's like, you seem a little bit obsessed about it. You don't need rare. No, we do need rare. See, here's the thing about this story. Because here this guy says, it's amazing to see all the comments when the slightest news sets up another pump and dump. No. This news is exactly the reason I put money in this stock. It's exactly the reason I put money in this stock. Because we need rare earth resources. We need rare earth minerals. And China is potentially going to shut us off from them. We need domestic production. And this is like the one mine that can provide those resources. So when they say, you know, Department of Defense boosts invokes the Defense Production Act, that basically means the government is going to give these guys money. This is what that means. Yes, this stock could be worth so much more. Geopolitical Carls, you're so crazy. Yeah, my money is on it, has been for years. No, gold is not a rare earth resource. Oh, I see what you're trying to say. No. So the issue is that without rare earth resources, like, you can't make an iPhone. Right? So yeah, so it's very valuable. This is very valuable. It would be if China all of a sudden one day said, okay, we will no longer allow the export of any rare earth minerals. I keep saying resources. That's the name of the company that we're talking about. But if China came out and said you can no longer export from China any rare earth minerals, the market would collapse. Like it would be absolute chaos, panic, instant recession sort of a thing, because it would demolish the entire tech, and like Apple, Samsung, they're all dependent on these. Right? Now, I'm not saying that that's going to happen, but it is enough of a risk, and you can see here the Biden administration agrees. It is enough of a risk that the United States and other Western countries need to do things to boost their own domestic production of rare earth minerals. So that's why I invested in the stock, and even when it was left for dead, I was like, that's okay, I'm sticking with it. And it seems to be paying off now, but we'll see how far it actually goes. You can see, though, that since it's popped off, a ton of people are commenting on it. And the other thing is that there was supposed to be like doing construction on a demonstration plant. Yeah. Company's statement on expectations for processing and purifying Bear Lodge REE demonstration plant in Wyoming. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission license is expected in the summer of 2023, and construction is expected to commence in the second half of 2023. So that still has not happened, but if we get the news that the license has been approved and that construction has started, that's going to further help the stock, right? They probably are years away from, so even with this thing, it's still a very speculative trade. But there's got to be some short certain. Right? I agree, though. Unleveraged predictions are for small brains. Your investment strategy is guided by your worldview. Well, you could be wrong. You have more at stake than those who call you crazy but don't invest stuff. Well, so I think that the Peter Schiff sort of a thing is a little bit different, right? Like, when you're talking about like gold and like the collapse of the US dollar, like what any of us say about it has no effect on it, right? Especially the dollar, right? He's still crazy, but he's crazy just because he continues to be wrong for like forever, you know? Basically any market move that you come in and you look at in the past 15 years, you get wrong if you're listening to him. But when I'm talking about like a penny stock, yeah, especially people that are short a penny stock, I do not trust what they have to say, because those guys are absolutely, like, you realize this Sam guy, for instance, on there. What if, let's just say, for the sake of argument, what if tomorrow or Monday we woke up and rare earth resources opened at $8, right? That guy would be fucked. That guy would be bankrupt, possibly, right? You go short a penny stock like that, man, you can get screwed over so hard, so quickly. So yeah, when they seem like overly vocal about a penny stock, I'm immediately suspicious. That's also why when people come into our Discord and start posting tickers, I ban them. Because you're trying to pump and dump. Peter is, yes, he has. He's basically short the dollar, isn't he? Actually, I don't know what his, I guess his position has only been long the dollar, long gold, huh? I guess his position is really more long gold, but he hasn't really done that well with it. I'm just saying, like, think of all of the equities movement and rally that some of these doomers have kept people out of over, right? I never took my money out of the market. I have some more money to invest that I probably should put in, and the only reason that I haven't is because I'm not really sure where I want to put it yet. Haven't found a tech company that was giving me a good price and that I really believed in. And so I didn't really, but it's not a large amount, right? But the majority of my portfolio is still invested in stuff. I never sold it, right? And I remember saying kind of at the beginning of the year that it sure seems like everybody's talking about a recession, but I remember at least at the beginning of the year saying, well, actually, there's a couple of things from the flows that actually look positive, right? And it wasn't until this summer, essentially, that we got into it looks like the flows will turn negative. And it looks like that at exactly that time that they probably should have turned negative, we got like a short squeeze. So I'm still a little bit tepidly concerned about bear market later in the year, but I'm not going to put money on it, you know? Not until it's like really obvious that that's what's actually going on. Well, I tell you what, the treasuries skyrocketed out of here when that non-farms headlines come through, but it's almost completely retraced. The offer is just missing on your ZT? Really? That's interesting. Well, it did. This move did steepen the curve considerably. Do you see that, like, the 2-year is no longer above 5%? It's actually all the way back to 4.9. That's interesting. Maybe I should pull mine up. I'm starting to get awfully suspicious of your data, Uzi. Your data provider. 2-year note. We are on September. I think it's just a software issue. Oh yeah, no, I get offers. That is a little light for the 2-year, isn't it? Oh, do I have tick aggregation on? Hold on a second. No, that's not. Oh, that's weird. I don't know, but it is doing the numbers right. There's usually more liquidity in the 2-year, isn't there? What's with that? Whoa. Are we getting news here? Well, I haven't heard anything from... Oh, I think that maybe I need to refresh here. I remember this thing having like 10,000 contracts at every level. What the heck happened? Salim says news, but I don't see anything yet. Oh, okay. Well, that last little impulse lower certainly looked like a little cray-cray, right? Like for them to completely shrug off that number and start pushing higher, or start pushing lower like that, and with the amount of volume that they're doing, because by the way, it's like 15,000 contracts just that last swing alone, and it's more like 35,000 contracts from the high. The guys in the treasuries just used that move to go short. That is a little concerning for the markets, I think. Looks like there's maybe a little bit of support there, so I'm gonna give it a little bit, but it's kind of starting to suggest to me that maybe we actually could get involved today. Okay, now another thing is that these numbers may not be... Okay, let me just come back through the numbers. Non-farm payrolls, 209 versus 230. Average earnings month over month, spot 4 versus spot 3. Where's the unemployment rate? U.S. unemployment rate unchanged, 3.6 to 3.6. Look at that. There's real volume going on there too. So I'm seeing reloading at the bottom there. Although they did appear to push through it. I mean, you note that the low from before this was 11, so... Okay. I should also note that this activity that we see here in the treasury seems to be... This flow seems to be limited just to the treasury. I'm not really seeing gold react this way. We're not really seeing anything too spectacular in the dollar. Although I guess it could be as the dollar pushes higher, the treasuries might push lower. We'll see. I can see the 6J following the treasury. Still seeing some big trades go through here at 11, though. So, it didn't do the level break kind of setup like I was hoping. There's still a chance that it goes lower, though. Well, that didn't look too good, did it? It looks like, though, that the market is still pretty illiquid and slippery. Yeah, there's some real... When you look at the cumulative delta on this one, you see how big those candles are in the cumulative delta? So there's actually maybe a little bit of a fight going on here. Oof. Ticked back down on nothing. Okay. Okay, now that there was a little bit more volume there traded at 11, but look, they just zoomed through it. It was just like all of a sudden the sell orders came out. 32 traded down to 11, then another 1,000 to trade it down at 10.5. It stopped there and it's come back to 11. It's fighting around a little bit, but that was a little unexpected too. This is a real, I have not seen such a fraught battle like this in a while. Is it weird that NQ and ZN looked exactly, well, like, not necessarily. So we're kind of in this like bizarro world with the economic numbers, aren't we? And we're in a place where like the equities and the treasuries are kind of positively correlated. But look at the S&P 500. They're following the treasuries here lower as well. Right? Like everything is selling and the dollar is rising. This is really interesting move. You know, like the treasuries are like just there on the edge of like, are we going to go break meaningfully lower? Because just know, even the 10-year did break a new low, but the 5-year did not. Right? So if we have another little break lower, you know, acceleration, then things could start to get a little wild. I feel like that this retracement back to the lows after that really good non-farms number is wild, you know. This is why you should never trust your, oh my gosh. So on TikTok, there's this girl. I think I had seen her before or something like that. I think she is a total grifter, to be honest with you. And she made this video that's like, you know, there are some things that that only the rich know that aren't common knowledge. And I'm going to share. And it was like, she spent like the whole effing video, like not really saying anything at all. right? And then she made another video where it was like a whole minute of just like saying nothing. But then in the end, the thing the rich people know that the other people don't is that you just trust your gut. That this is a simulation, and if you just trust your gut, you will manifest things. That was her whole thing. It's like, that's bullshit. Right? Do you have any empirical evidence to back that up? You know me. Because yeah, that's exactly my thing is like, yeah, I've seen so many traders that think that they should trade their gut and then get screwed, right? Like okay, well, there has been pretty heavy pressure here. They have not broken yet. The pressure let off a little bit. Like, the pressure let off to allow price to come back up here, but I don't think that the selling is actually gone. I'm not going to read that one out. The market's about to flush. Oh. Yeah, these bars in ZN are getting a little wild. I'm getting a little nervous. I think that for what it is, that see, I don't like, well, so there's some more selling. I really don't like that we have sold that much, didn't really make progress, and then it came back up. That kind of says to me that we really were selling into the bottom of the hole, and even though it was really strong selling and there could have been a really good breakout there, that it just was not enough. Like, that's, yeah, at minus 20, I've got to bail. So that really sucks. I will probably... well, I'm still up on the week, right? Let's see here. It's barely up on the week. No, I think it's more than that, because didn't I take 3... I think I'm up $10 on the week. Oh, no, you know what? I can do it this way. Oh, maybe I'm not on the week because there was one trade that was really good that, you know, I didn't get to do. Come on, I know I took more trades than that. It's not showing me my sim trades and stuff like that. You know what really sucks about that trade though was that I was trying to get out at minus 10 and I couldn't. So I slipped another 10 ticks. Yeah, it looks... I think that they reached the limit of their impact, and this is just kind of it bouncing. Because it came all the way up there on not really a whole lot of volume. And it did so a little bit quickly. So... man, now that actually kind of bothers me. I can't. Maybe that is all that I've taken live. That's okay. I'm gonna be a little hesitant to take another trade though after that. The thing was is I had a good shot, right? I had a good shot. I really probably should have gotten involved in that a lot earlier, right? And there's still the possibility that, like, this dead cat bounces and then comes lower, right? But I think I would need to see some things in the flow in the book and everything that gives me a little bit more confidence to get in again. Because it is a little bit more volatile than I would prefer. We'll put it that way. Joseph Wang, when you're running out of workers, then hires decelerate and wages accelerate. Nick Timmer's average hourly earnings continues to rise around 4.4% from a year ago to private sector workers. Pay growth has been a bit firmer for production and non-supervisory employees, but also trending down on a year ago basis. I think it was just the liquidity, Mr. M. I think that we were trying to sell it to the lows pretty aggressively, and it didn't break like we wanted. So when the selling subsided, it, sloshes back. So, it's liquidity. I like to think of it as like water. Like, you ever, if you push a bunch of water and you leave this hole behind you and then you get sucked back into it, right? That's why that happens. And the evidence that I would point to suggest that that's what's happening is the cumulative delta on this. When you look, there was some very, very excessive selling all the way down here to break the low. There was some support here in that, there was some pushback, right? But then, like, look, this whole move back up, hardly any real change or trend in cumulative delta, right? So what does that mean? That means that it moved back because of the liquidity. But, like I said, there could still be another leg. So it doesn't mean that lower is not possible. It still looks pretty active to me. Okay, let's see if Zero Hedge has a story now. After yesterday's blowout ADP report, according to which almost 500,000 Americans magically found jobs moments ago, the BLS poured cold water on expectations for a confirmation of the surge in the latest jobs report when the June payrolls number came in at a measly 209K, a big jump from last month's blowout 339 print, which of course was revised down to 306 and the lowest print since December 2020. The numbers missed the median economist expectation of 230, which was the first time series the time series has missed since April 2022 and followed 13 consecutive beats. It wasn't just May that was revised, of course, lower. The change in total non-farm payroll for employment for April was revised down by $77,000. And the change for May was revised down $33,000. With these revisions, employment in April and May combined is 110 lower than previously reported. Of note, I'm sorry, man. I can't help but feel like these numbers are being cooked. It's, it's been this same thing all year. It's like, I don't know if the non-farms number means anything anymore. I don't trust it one bit. I'm not alleging a well, I guess I am, aren't I? I really shouldn't be alleging a conspiracy that I don't have evidence for, but I am saying that I would not trust the non-farms number, which is to say that there could be factors and other things going on in there that will make the number that you get deceptive, even if somebody is not intentionally trying to make it so, right? Okay. Back to the story. Blah, 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 blah. Average hourly earnings for all employees on private non-farm payrolls rose by 12 cents or 4.4% over the past 12 months. Average hourly earnings have risen 4.4%. There was a welcome change in the average weekly hours, which rose fractionally. Looking at the composition, we find something bizarre. The biggest contributor to the 209K print was the government. The government employment increased by 60,000 in June. Whoa. Weaker than expected jobs data on the headline front was not supported by some other data in the report. Unemployment ticked down to 3.6 as it is based on the household survey. Hourly earnings came in at spot 4% this month and were revised up to spot 4 last month, keeping the annual rate at 4.4%. Not alarming, but not the direction the Fed would like to see. Hours worked ticked up a fraction to 34.4, which is normally viewed as a positive for the labor market, but doesn't seem to match other parts of these job reports. The JOLTS data, which I believe Yellen really looked at closely, declined as it is back below 10 million jobs. I highly suspect that this data series is more flawed than most, as how jobs are advertised has changed dramatically. Yeah. And the BLS survey response rates likely remain low, which creates problems for those trying to interpret the data. Bottom line, a mixed enough report that the Fed can probably go 25 at the next meeting, but we don't need to price in much more than that. This is Heater Cheer of Academy Securities. Well, I'm just don't trust those numbers. Okay, well, the Treasury is pushed a little bit higher. Still not the change in Delta. Still looks shortable, frankly. I don't know, though. I'm still a little sore that I lost 20 bucks on that. Well, I'm still here's the thing. I'm not convinced that man, it's just such a difficult thing to walk around, because at the end of the day, these numbers just don't make much sense, right? But if employees were really coming in and were just straight up cooking the numbers, like this, that's the thing, is if you worked for the Bureau of Labor Statistics and you had a bias, and so, maybe some of the decisions that you made on your models and things like that maybe caused the number to be higher or lower than it probably should be, right? Okay, but how do you explain something that is where it's 450 is the ADP and the actual number that we get for the non-farms is 209? That is just an insane discrepancy, right? And then they continue to, and then the numbers get revised down so much, right? So that's the first thing. is that, like, okay, if it's a problem with their methodology or something like that, they really need to rethink the number, because this number is not useful if they're revising it down by like 100,000 jobs 2 months afterwards, right? That means that all of the movement and decisions that people made back when the original number was released was based on complete bullshit, right? But then the split side of that is that, okay, so in order to get that kind of discrepancy, maybe you do have to have a conspiracy, okay? But I think that it would be very, very difficult for the Bureau of Labor Statistics to be outright cooking the books like that and keep it under wraps. There's no way. So I am not sure how you explain it, because every scenario that I go through in my head seems not plausible. You know? Speaking of plausible, did you guys see this alien story on Reddit? So we're gonna get into conspiracy theories. Let's talk about a real juicy conspiracy theory. Did you guys see the alien anatomy post on Reddit? Oh my gosh, it's on r/aliens, and this guy posted claiming that he was like a medical examiner for a facility that had aliens. And like, I think it's a LARP, personally. I think it's a LARP. I was reading some posts from medical experts that were saying, like, this guy definitely is like in the medical field and knows what he's talking about, but it's like only a surface level understanding of it. But he probably spent a lot of time making this LARP up, and the story that he tells is like really wild. Like that aliens believe that aliens have a religion, and the alien religion is that consciousness is actually like a field, and that once you get enough of that field becomes refined to a certain point or something, that it becomes sentient, and then when you die, that energy just goes back to the field and becomes a part of the field. So you stop being an individual, but you don't go away. And they believe that their aim is essentially to refine this consciousness until it reaches a divine state, right? And so they go around and cultivate life and do all of these other things. But then they also don't have much of a regard for individuals, so they will like kill individuals and do all sorts of crazy things. Genetic engineering, creating other life forms for their own purposes, and all this like the whole story is just like crazy. But it's really compelling. It's really compelling. And all of the UFO guys were going wild about it. It's so funny. It's so funny to read the comments on Reddit too, because you would think that with such a spectacular story, there would be a lot of people really skeptical. But there are so many people that comment on it that have no skepticism at all. They believe everything that he said 100% and are trying to talk about like the medical implications of what he's just revealed and all of this crazy stuff. So if you got some time, man, I would go and read it, because it was really good. If you're interested in aliens at all, I would go read it. It was really good. Okay, well. Man, I really wish that I was getting more on these non-farms, because I just can't explain these numbers. I do think so. It looks like something that happened was like that. Even though the headline number was weaker than expected and seemed kind of good, there was, as Zero Hedge mentioned in their story, there was a couple of other things that were a little suspicious, and the other things were not as good as the headline number appeared. And so I think that what may have happened is you had the knee-jerk reaction, and then as people dug into the numbers, they decided to fade the number. Right now, when we got down to the lows, you may have had some shorts profit taking in there. Again, there was like a real battle in there, right? There was a real battle in there. We've moved up pretty significantly, and it's still kind of the cumulative delta, at least in the 10 years, is still kind of flat. Now, the concern that I have now, of course, we're about to open here. Here's the S&P 500 open. The tendency now will be that as we go later into the session, there's less and less opportunity. So unless they're going to make another shove for the lows, like now that the equity market is open, I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of opportunity left in today. So that's part of why I was a little frustrated that it ended up being a -20 instead of a -10. That was really not what we wanted to see. Implied volatility already dropped significantly since yesterday? Interesting. Okay, so now I'm seeing some volume come through. Now we're getting some of that volume. It's about maybe 4 or 5K. Sounds like Avatar. Well, it was no, like so I think the implication. So one of the things is that they said that the aliens had some parts of human DNA, that it looked like there were parts of human DNA that had been cut out and put into it, and that it didn't have as large of a genome as you normally would, that it was like a very dense genome, that like the things that were in the genome, this is again one of those things where I'm kind of like, I don't think that that's actually I think you're lying. I think it's made up, but I digress. It's still really interesting. It's still an interesting story. The aliens have no butthole. They have no pee. They don't have any sexual organs of any kind. And their skin smells of ammonia, so apparently they excrete waste through their skin. And so the people think that these aliens are actually more like living drones of some sort that have been genetically engineered and are perhaps even human alien hybrids to interact with us or to protect the real aliens from potentially disease and who knows what. So that was the I definitely think that it was like a alien enthusiast that like put a lot of work into a LARP. This is what I think it was. This room is a little warm today. Well, I thought maybe it was worth trying to sell it there when it started to come back a little bit, but it is now. Now you are getting the long volume. You're definitely getting some long volume in the 5-year. And I am now kind of throwing my hands up in the air. I'm not sure I can make sense of this. This is just a really chaotic market. As well it should be, because again, those numbers are kind of like, what? I guess we could try it on sim. I mean, that was a good 2 ticks down there. My machine is slowing down a little bit for some reason. What's going on here? A little suspicious. I do think, like, I'm watching this the way that this is going so well and it's coming back here and everything, and I'm like, oh yeah, if I had gotten 405, I'd be real happy right now, right? Oh man, actually that dropped real quickly. Jeez. Doing it, yeah, it's doing it in the 6J too. I'd even say gold is kind of following along. And I would say that the dollar is kind of following along. Like the dollar is starting to push back up again. And you know, when the treasuries pivoted, the dollar pivoted, so seemed like maybe it was slowing down a little bit, but there was big orders on both sides of that at 16.5 and 17. Even though we had like that big, you know, we did have a couple of bars there with positive cumulative delta and everything. You know, there's also been some bars that are sell here. So like, market's still fighting. Maybe you're a little bit stuck here now, actually. Could be somebody decided to buy the dip and now they're done and it's just pausing. Because it's been pretty tight past 3 minutes or so. Looks like there's 050 again. Oh, excellent. Oh, I don't know. Maybe that's really bad because that move kind of made it look like they're gonna shove back up through the highs again. Tough day to read. I mean, read, maybe not, but predict, yeah. I think that we're getting like really clear flows, but there's just a lot of chaos in this market. Like multiple sides to this. What the heck? Okay. That is... It's getting really fidgety here, huh? Whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, so I just got filled on a contract, and then somebody in the micros hit back with 10 contracts the other way. And the treasuries ticked down. And then they shove it back up. This is just like what it was before, right? It's a fight was a fight down at the bottom, and now that we've pulled back, it's a fight at the top of the pullback. Why would I? Okay, so first of all, I have not found a product for NinjaTrader that is anywhere close to the quality of Jigsaw. But the real question is, like, why would you continue to use NinjaTrader when, you know, they have charts in Jigsaw, right? Now TT is a different issue, right? I'm trading small, so TT is too expensive for my needs. When it ticks, like, they pull, man. It doesn't necessarily go, but like it looks like the market makers are kind of flighty here. I guess they don't like how much this is fidgeting around. I don't know. It's a little annoying, though. I don't know. Looks like the buyers are winning here, guys. Jeez, this is just, it ticks around so easily. Okay, so LARP stands for live action roleplay. So what we're essentially saying is that they're role playing as somebody and posting it on the internet. That they're faking it, and that they're, you know. So the development of the term LARP is really interesting. So originally live action roleplay was kind of derided because that's like the ultimate nerdy thing to do, you know, like live action roleplay is a little embarrassing, you know, to really do that. And that was like Dungeons and Dragons, for instance, is live action roleplay, right? But then some people kind of take it a little step further and you know, will live action roleplay against people that are normal people, right? So it then kind of turned into almost like a political thing. Like when political people are protesting and things like that, they say, oh, it's just they're LARPers, you know, kind of implying that they think that they're all super serious, but it's actually they should really be embarrassed that they're doing this, right? Okay, so this is really interesting. They did make a little bit of a shove higher and then fell back down, but they are still not piercing through 19. You notice that like right where I have my sim orders at 18.5 and 18, they can't seem to touch it. So this is like another one of those, like, it feels like that the market is specifically trading against me. How do you explain that one? Come on. It's not necessarily seeing buying through here, but it's just like the market maker has been playing with it in that whole area now. Corn spears. I'm frustrated because they were so nice to me for so long, right? Now today they're like, "Oh, it's non-farms day. We gotta get ours." There it is, a little bit higher again. So we bail. Not getting the flows that I want. Bailing on the sim order too. I think I'm done for the day. It's a little frustrating. The thing that frustrates me the most right now is that I have not really been able to really push my winners, you know? Yeah, Friday frustrations. Has been a fun day. I agree. It's been some fun movement despite me being on the wrong side of it, right? But you know, like I had some good trades and then I would only get like 10 or 15 out of them, right? And then I get the bad trade and it goes 30. That's we really got to fix that, right? So that's why partly why I was just like, when it got to minus 10, I bailed immediately that time. So I was not going to let that turn into another minus 20. The volume is still pretty iffy. Like, so it does appear that the buyers have, I mean, like there are more market buys than market sells through here. Okay. It's definitely not nearly as extreme as like the initial selling, right? But you know, and the thing is that sellers are pushing against it. So it's not like crazy to come in here and to try and go short and to try and hold it for a little bit. Like we do get some support, but then they just kind of fizzle out. So I'm really curious to know why it is that like there's so much fight, but then one side seems to win so clearly every time, right? And I'm gonna bet you that we get another pullback here. In fact, it might even come back to the 20. Like, it's moving a little too easily. That's probably a really good reason for me to not take any more trades. I mean, that would have been a good reason for me to have not traded at all in the first place. Yeah, if I do it again and then I'm minus 50 on today, then I'll be bitter all weekend. So I think I'm going to stop. I guess we can still do sim trades. At this point, though, we're kind of coming into some other strange price levels. I don't know. So like from here, if they're going to push further than from here, then they've got to go back up to the highs. Can they really do that? It really looks to me like a real fight in the markets, you know? Well, you know what? I take that back. Yeah. Probably the biggest thing driving us is still the dollar, right? Through this whole time, the dollar has just been falling lower and lower, right? So if all of the trade is just being whipped around by the dollar, we might not have a very good edge in that situation. So while I'm thinking about it, though, you know what we need to talk about? We need to talk about threads. So, well, the yen is more active. Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking at the dollar overall, but the dollar seems to be having more unique stuff unique to it than the yen does. The yen seems to just be right in line with the treasuries. And I'm not sure which one is driving which. Okay, so yesterday we were kind of like, oh, like maybe we should give Threads a try. And then we found out there's no desktop application, right? So after the stream, I tried to do a little bit more digging. And the whole thing is that they're like, oh, we're going to integrate with this same protocol that Mastodon is using. Well, that feature's not ready yet. So I think what's going on here is that like Twitter had been developing this, and I think that they had been developing it a long time ago, and it kind of got shelved, and then maybe they brought it back when Twitter got taken over by Elon Musk. And then because of the Twitter rate limiting, they decided to unveil it and bring it back out is what I think happened. And so the app is not ready for prime time at all. So like when you go to your feed, you have no sorting options on your feed at all. So like if you want to get breaking news, like latest information, you can't do it. And then you can't get it on the desktop application. Your account is attached to your Instagram account, which also kind of bothers me because like I created my Facebook and then thus connected to my Instagram for, you know, like family and friends and not for like influencer purposes, I guess you could call it. And so I want a new Instagram account. But then when I tried to make a new Instagram account, it didn't work correctly and it won't let me use that name or email address. Now, I don't think that that's because I'm like shadow banned. I think it's just because the way that I did it, I screwed up. Because I put in the email addresses wrong. Anyways, so like I just had problems with it, you know. And then I thought, oh well, maybe I can use like a third-party app. No, you can't use that stuff yet. So like, really? Everything about their rollout, in my opinion, is a disaster. But you got all these people online that are like, oh, Threads is so much fun. You got to come over and try it. Yada, yada. You know, like especially left-leaning people, because they really hate Elon nowadays, right? Yeah, it's interesting. And I really think that what's going on the Twitter side is that Twitter did not want to renew its contract with Google Cloud. It thought that they could get the hosting cheaper, but they were not ready to take it off of the cloud. I think is what happened there. And so they just had to reduce capacity, essentially. So, I don't know. And then there's all this stuff about they're not paying like other leases and things like that, you know. Could Elon be having financial problems? It's possible. So, well, this down move. I'll take that on soon. I moved up. There are some big offers showing up in here now. Is the fight ever going to happen? My understanding is that somebody's mommy said they couldn't do it. I forget which side, but I think that somebody's mommy said they shouldn't. I really going back to it, even though Elon Musk is a big guy, I don't think he's in very good shape, and I don't think he would stand a chance against Mark. So I don't think it's actually going to happen. So we are not getting the volume support that you would want in here, but it did fall. And oh, that's interesting. It did fall. And then after it fell, iceberg on the offer. So maybe those slightly large orders, yeah, there you go, 4K, 5K, iceberg on the offer. Wow. Mark is a bot. No, he's just probably autistic, guys. I very much dislike many of the things that Facebook has done and the direction that company has taken. So I'm not a friend to Mark at all, okay? But I think that his personality is unfairly maligned because he's probably, you know, neurodivergent in some way. I don't see an athletic commission sanction. Well, I would. Why would you need an athletic commission to sanction it? Is that how that sort of thing works? I don't know. I mean, they offered them the Coliseum. We have a venue. I don't know what's holding it back. No, like I said, somebody's mommy said they can't do it. But like the thing is that I saw that reported on Zero Hedge, but like not anywhere else. So nobody knows that the fight is canceled. Okay, they finally ticked down 2,000 to take it offer at 21.5, kind of only a week offer, and it ticks back up. So we're doing the same game that we were playing at 19, but at this time at 21.5, huh? Do we care about Canadian PMI? I don't know. The market probably not react to that one too strongly, the IVPMI, but it has surprised us in the past. I can think of at least two times where IVPMI resulted in a surprising move. So, but there's no forecast for that number, for instance. So that kind of tells you how much the market really pays attention to it. Previous reading was 53.5. I know. I really shouldn't have, though, huh? Took another live trade. I feel like I shouldn't have, but I don't know. I felt like I couldn't not. I was just so compelling to me. I don't know. So this is either going to be an amazing trade or I'm on tilt, right? I think this one is doing well enough that, I can scratch it if I really have to, right? Bomoski. Well, the dollar is turning around. It still looks like it's all the dollar, right? I'm liking the way, so to see that much, we've come down quite a bit now. Again, not on a whole lot of change in cumulative delta, but on decent amounts of volume and some icebergs and stuff that were favorable, right? So I am seeing some things in the order flow that seem favorable to the shorts, but I'm not seeing it come through in the cumulative delta. And so that kind of has me hopeful that if they can push a little bit lower, that you will start to see some real volume come in short and see the cumulative delta catch up. But we'll see. Those last few ticks are really came through quickly, didn't they? Oh, okay. So the IV PMI was 50.2. So still in expansion, but quite a bit down from the previous month's 53.5. See, it's the same thing that keeps happening to me. I don't know. I think this could all be in my head. Is when I get to 10 ticks, it kind of starts to struggle. And then I get nervous and I end up taking the profit too early. Okay, well, 2,000 at 19, it goes offer, but weak offer. Oh, bid pulls. Few orders hit it. Looks like they might continue down a little bit. Well, yeah, it's kind of hard to do that in this current market because of how much movement there's been, huh? like the uptrend that we had from the lows up into, like, what was it, 25 was not the cleanest trend, was it? Like when you look at it over here on the chart, right? Was very, very jagged. It was like 4 ticks up, 5 ticks down, 4 ticks up, 5 ticks the whole way. I should probably clear below me here. Cumulative deltas are still flat, but I am seeing some reasonably large sell orders come through here. I think the bigger issue here, though, Lucas, is that it's I'm not convinced that it's really the order flow in the treasury market that's really driving these markets right now. I'm still kind of getting these hints in the correlations and so forth that the currencies are a more dominant factor here. Do you make a plant? No, of course not. I mean, I don't know. That's not a terrible idea, but I write so slowly, I don't think that would be practical. But I do very much come in with plan about flows that I'm expecting, you know? It might be really quick and generalized in my head, but I know that, you know, like today, even with that strong number, I'm still coming in here thinking there's probably going to be some still monetary tightening and the treasuries could continue to sell, and that's exactly what we saw, right? Now, I don't think that I took advantage of what I was seeing in the flows very well, and so now what's happening is we're kind of playing for scraps. But it really, man, I tell you what, I just can't shake off this feeling that, like, okay, if I don't get in a position, it just goes and goes and goes and goes. And when I do get in a position, they'll give me 10 or 15 and then are like, nope, that's as far as we can go. Every freaking time. That came back quickly. Oh, and the dollar moved too. The dollar slipped back down a lot. So that's interesting. It seems to me like the it is the dollar or maybe the Japanese yen that is kind of like, let's say, dominating this action, but the treasuries really want to sell really badly. Probably for the same reasons that I want to sell. Right? I do find the downticks a little bit more compelling, but it's still kind of in a wash. Like if the order flow in the treasury is not really what's driving it, then those sorts of things don't necessarily matter. How do you handle? Well, oh man, for 3 days in a row. Hold on. Is kind of not going so well. Okay, so with the way that I trade, if you're red 3 days in a row, you're doing something wrong, right? Like that means that there is a flow, a strong flow that's persistent, that's coming through for many days in a row that you're ignoring. Is what that means, right? You really, I want to avoid really long losing streaks. And if I'm trying to predict future flows and I'm not predicting the future flows, there's something's wrong, right? Means that I don't understand that market very well. So when that happens to me, I start binge researching. I'm gonna go back and read everything on Zero Hedge that I can. Maybe I missed something there. I'm just gonna dig into every piece of data analyst report that I can to try and figure out what might be driving that flow. Right. Ask him what's his strategy. Well, all don't know if that's a relevant question. He's probably doing technical analysis, right? But I mean, if you're doing technical analysis, then losing like for a whole month in a row would not be unusual, right? Well, that reminds me. Now is probably not a good time to show you. I'm still really nervous about this position and if I should scratch it or not. But I did the full back test for the volume profile setup where if you open up above the previous day's value area high and then cross back below that value area high, then you take a short on the assumption that it will come back to the point of control. And it was kind of funny, like, to see the 12-year history of it, because there were periods of a few months or even a year or more where it did okay, but the overall strategy was just a terrible, terrible loser. And the part that I thought was funny was that the worst period for it was the period when I was the most interested in volume profile. Like when I was really trying to look at volume profile levels and, you know, maybe make trades around those levels and stuff like that was around 27, like early on in 2017, right? And that's when that strategy just got demolished. And it was really striking to look at it and see that, oh yeah, you'll have this period of like a few months to a year where it looks golden, and probably anybody that's trading volume profile thinks that it's the greatest thing in the world and it's getting popular among retail traders. And if they had actually seen the longer term performance of the strategy, they would stay so far away from it, you know? Do you have a trading journal? Yeah, so I don't write down things so much. I mean, this YouTube channel is kind of my trading journal, but I also have Journalytics, so I can look back at all my stats and stuff. Well, I'm not really... We're not really getting a strong flow market order wise on either side here. It did come back to my break-even point. So I am considering just scratching it. I don't know. Over here on this one, I could maybe try and... Well, that didn't work out. Tick back down. Spoo's pushing higher here. Oh, there it goes. Shit. Whoa. Okay. Well, I am not enjoying this roller coaster here. So I was like, crap, when it ticked down and there was like 10 contracts that sold it. And then it just hit back with 27 contracts. That's all in the micros, but still, that's when I see volume like that in the micros, it always kind of like, it always is like a big flag to me. It's like, so why are all of a sudden the big players in the micros interested in playing it there? But I don't know if I'm at a technical right now. Like I think that I had an okay entry and everything, and I'm just kind of at the mercy of the flows right now, and I'm not really seeing the flows that I want. and I had the opportunity to scratch it, and now it's like past, and I don't know, man. I don't know what to do. I guess I have to bail, but man. So it looked so promising. You know, all of these actually looked somewhat promising at first, so. No, I did not like that. So I bailed at -10, and they immediately filled my offer. So no, I do not like that at all. But that puts me -40 now. Is it -40? And 39. 39. Hey, Walter, how are you? Well, I think I'm definitely done now for the day, because it's, you know, it's 8:15, so like, I don't know. Probably you're gonna see the flow that I've been looking for come through again, and it's I don't know. I think that maybe the seller did his thing and is done. You know. So really, we've kind of been wobbling around here, but it really hasn't been a strong flow since then. So I think that this is just kind of like traders trading, and I think that the biggest flows are behind us. So it probably doesn't make sense to really trade this. That last trade was not terrible. I got 15 favorable ticks and 12 unfavorable ticks, so it went more my way than against, but I just was not able to take advantage of it. So was not a terrible trade. I don't know. I think overall, so like the thing is I see interest rates going higher still, but this non-farms really does kind of. I think a lot of people are looking at this non-farms and saying, they're only going to be able to raise one more time, and then they'll start to see the recessionary stuff and they'll pause again. That's, you know, there is a group of people that think that, for sure. Are you looking at that? What do you mean the diagrams? You probably tried posting a link and we can't see it, huh? Because YouTube shadow bans all links. I think there's like a setting where you can like turn that off and it still does it. You can believe that. Okay. Zero Hedge says zero reserves continue to pose short-term risk for stocks. ZB got away. Yeah, one of the things is like when you look at ZB, it's pretty clearly up action, but then when you look at the other ones, it's kind of like iffy. I don't know. Either way, I've misread what the flows are going to be here. So plans. Well, I'm gonna edit that video. So now that that's all over with, I wish I had scratched it. It's okay. It's okay. Actually, I think on all of those. Let me come back and look at this real quick. Okay, this one was not very good. No, this one wasn't very good either. I was only able to get 4. I mean, it's better than nothing, but I thought that I did better than that on those. This one though, I could have gotten out. I could have taken a profit, could have scratched it. Yeah, it sucks. It's okay. Sometimes you're not as informed as you think you are, right? Nah, you know what? I think I am a little tilted. You know, I don't think I should have taken that last trade. I even said when we were doing it, I was like, I don't know if I really should be taking this trade, but it seems to be working, so like, okay. But like, even though I think that we may have a decent edge in terms of like being able to predict the flows, because the flows are just likely to be tilted to the sell side for the next near-term future. There is so much chaos going on because of these perplexing jobs numbers that, you know, you're going to have a hard time. Really, me taking trades in this is really kind of like, how do I say? Those are a euphemism for gambling, but oh no, I took a loss today. Took a pretty large loss for me. So 40 ticks is a big loss for me. So, you know, I would prefer to keep it to like, yeah, minus 10 and then quit for the day or something like that. This is often what I do, but I kept going for it and none of them worked out. That actually pushed a little bit higher, didn't it? Yeah, it was minus 40 on the live account. There's a sim account too, but like, I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit sick of this. I'm going to scratch this on the sim account too. Not scratch, but just take the loss. How many positions do you trade? Well, most of the time it's only 1 or 2. Yeah. Like if I've got it correct, I should only need 1 trade, right? I know which direction it's going. I position myself early and just ride the whole thing. So ideally, only 1. So here are the backtest stats for this volume profile one. So you can see here, right? Percent profitable 48.15. Basically, it's random. You get high probability too, by the way, because I have so much data. Because look, I was able to take 1,000. Can you believe that to get 1,000 trades, it took me, I had to do it from like, look, it goes from 2011 to 2023. I had to have over a decade's worth of data to get 1,000 trades on it. Right? It's random. It's totally random. But then come and look at the curve on it, man. I only trade during the New York session. In fact, we'll probably shut the stream down in about 40 minutes. So look at this one. So just as an example, here in 2020, it did pretty well, right? And then there's a whole period from about, I'm going to say the beginning of 2016 to 2018, right? Like, look at this. This period right here. This period right here is 2 years. You see that? This is why I do this sort of stuff all the time. This is the first time that I've been able to do a backtest that big on order flow type of setups, which I don't know if you call volume profile like an order flow setup, but you get what I mean, right? There's not really, retail traders don't typically have access to this kind of data, right? 2 years. But when you look at the larger performance of the strategy, it's not a good strategy, is it? But everybody that was trading it during these 2 years that it works probably think that volume profile is the best thing ever. That to me should be eye-opening to traders. Because like seriously, they think that like they have a month of profitability under their belt that they're golden. Or if they've made it a year that they're golden. Yeah, okay. Make it 5 years. You can make it 5 years then. Maybe I'll be impressed. Yeah. Fair to say I won't be using Polypro. Not in the way that these not in these setups, no. I mean, I still have it up there, and I think that there are some kind of behaviors in there. So as we've discussed, there are some empirical properties of order flow that do line up with some of the theories and ideas of volume profile, but you know, kind of for different reasons and nuances that are really critical, but are different, right? You're gonna F's, yeah. So like here's the thing about this video is I don't want this video to be like a slight against Futures Trader 71. Of course, I you know, I don't say anything about him. I'm not intending, I'm not like implying anything about him. Okay, but like this is the stuff that he trades, right? This is the stuff, so it's like inevitable that anybody that is really seriously promoting volume profile kind of setups like that, like technical setups like that, is going to feel slighted by the video, even though it's nothing personal. It's just, this is what the data and the information that we have is, right? Yeah. I think a lot of people will be upset by the video. You know, and the thing that I always come back to on this one is that they'll say, well, okay, you're just doing the setup wrong, or you need to have all of this other stuff, right? And it's like, well, I've given you all of the tools that you need. Prove it. Right? What do you do when the strategy doesn't work well? You stop trading. Well, so my take on that is that you shouldn't run into that. So if the strategy doesn't work well, what that means is you screwed up in the research process. You didn't actually backtest the strategy. You didn't actually verify it and see what the performance actually was. Or if you were doing those things, you fell victim to one of many common kind of statistical errors that we make, like hindsight bias or curve fitting and these sorts of things, right? Where you fit it all to the past data, and so it seems like it works well for past data, but then there's nothing predictive about it. So that is opposed to like the way that I trade, which is I look at information about the market that we can truly verify, empirical behaviors of order flow, for instance, right? News that we can verify, right? And only trade when we really strongly feel that we have an edge. I felt like I had an edge. I felt like that despite the number that rates are going to go higher. Well, we had a period of that. It didn't bust out the bottom. So part of it was, you know, luck of the draw. It didn't go my way. Part of it is I screwed up and shouldn't have kept trading. Okay, whatever. But you see what I mean? Now, there's always this place where the rubber meets the road, right? But like, that's the whole thing, is that if you really have a framework that should give you the edge, and then in practice it doesn't give you, then you're doing something wrong, right? Which is to say, like, my approach to the drawdown is different fundamentally. Like, so going back to, do I still have the image up? Oh, I closed it, didn't I? So let's just say that you're trading this strategy, right? And you start trading it right here, right? So for the first little while, you're making a little bit of profit, and then all of a sudden you lose that profit very quickly. Okay, so when you get down to there, you've lost all your profits. Okay, you would, a technical analysis trader will say, well, you need to trust the setup, right? They're going to keep trading it. They're going to keep trading it, and then like at what point do you give up on it? Who knows? Because like that's the thing, is that it's technical analysis, right? With technical analysis, you can't necessarily explain why it's an edge. All you can do is you can say that in the past, trading it in this way would have resulted in a profit, right? So how do you know if you're just in a drawdown or if you were fooled by randomness? There's no way to know. But the technical analysis trader is gonna keep trading it, right? Me, it's different. It's different because what I'm doing is I'm trying to take advantage of informational edges. So if I'm in a drawdown, if I'm in a really steep drawdown, then I am making a mistake somewhere. There is something that I don't understand. So I don't put up with drawdowns, right? If I'm getting more than a few trades, you know, if we came in on Monday and we continued to have problems on Monday, right? Then I'm looking real hard at what's going on, right? Because there's something I'm not getting. And maybe that just means that I need to just wait until a different market comes along that I understand better, right? But I'm not going to put up with that drawdown because, again, I have an edge. If I really have an edge and I'm only trading when I have an edge, I should win. And I shouldn't be getting significant drawdowns. I mean, with leverage, your drawdowns can be like 10, 20%, but, you know, a drawdown like that is enough for me to go, okay, what's going on here, right? It's a very different thing, and that's where I just like, again, this is where I just can't help but harp on technical analysis, because once you've kind of came into this different world, right? All of the things that the PA traders do just kind of seem so dumb to me now. Like, it's so dumb to me that I ever even tried doing it, right? So yeah, I think that video is going to make some people upset, because there is probably nothing in the futures trading space that has more, has a better reputation, let's say, than the volume profile, right? But what I'm going to say is backed by empirical evidence, right? They're going to have to, you know, what's going to happen is the people are going to try and bargain their way out of it. They're going to say, well, maybe the way that he was presenting it, it doesn't work. But if we do it this other way, then maybe it works. Okay, test it. Prove it. Show it over a 10-year time period, man. Because this is why y'all are in this. This is why all of the technical analysis traders are in this position, is because they can't test it to that level of scrutiny to say, how has this actually performed over the last 10 years? If you could actually do that, you might not be trading it. And if you are trading it and you don't have 10 years, why? Why do you have that kind of confidence in it? Especially if it's like it's technical analysis and it's just like, well, it worked in the past. So I was going to, okay, but like, did it really actually work in the past? Like 10 years ago or just the last year? As you can see from there, it can work for a year or two before, like, you know, continuing to fail hard, right? Okay, well, so where are we at here on the, I forget. When I got out, it was 4:30. So it's basically in the same place it was. It went a little bit further and it came back to the same place it was. So it may, well, so one of the things is that we have had like flows that come through and happen after the London close has been happening a lot this week, so we might want to keep an eye on that. But otherwise, it kind of looks like it's settling down here, doesn't it? Can you share a couple of dumb TA trade ideas? Well, like one that I've done that actually looks kind of good is cycles. You have to constantly adjust your model and your thresholds, but if you do so with walk forward testing, it appears to work. So, and over a long period of time, it's not so profitable that I'd say it's only marginally profitable, but I don't know. Even though I said it kind of looks like it could settle in here, there's still a bit of movement. So I think that possibility that they try and break the upper end of the range still exists despite all of the selling and everything. In other words, this could continue to be some pretty spectacular action in the treasuries for the next week. It's possible. Because if we continue to see things that push the rates higher, there's going to be a lot of, fight, which could result in bigger moves. It's just a little wild to have seen this move up, 8 basis points and all the way back down and then all the way back up. That's really volatile for the treasury, isn't it? By the way, we should return back to what we started out on the day with, which is my, even though I lost $40, I'm still up on the day, right? You count my stocks. I don't count the stocks though. Well, I do kind of count. It's, here's another thing, okay? I have a hard time believing that any quote unquote profitable trader would refer to themselves as a profitable trader. When I'm on Reddit and I see somebody say, I've been profitable for X time, I'm immediately like, you're not profitable. Because if you're really experienced, you would understand how vague of a statement that is, right? It's like, okay, you've made money, but how much money? Over what time frame? How long have you been doing it for, right? Okay, if you have 5 consecutive years of yearly profits, now we're talking. You should start a fund. Let's go start a fund, right? If we're not confident in starting a fund with it, then would I be confident in starting a fund with what I'm doing? I think that I would need to have a lot more long-term edges in order to justify running a fund, because I think that if I did this with fund money, that the transaction costs and everything might eat away whatever I was making. So I would need to do a little bit more long-term positioning, essentially. So anyways, let's come back and see if rare earth resources moved at all this morning. It looks like no, like it jumped on Wednesday. Still pretty stuck at 6. Garlic Capital. The leading idea that I had was excessive capital. It looked like that one had not been taken. So it was going to be like excessive capital investment and commodities trading advisors. But I think I can do better. I think I can come up with a name that's quicker to spell. Shorter name and all that. Is Code Academy great for sure. Listen, any free source that you come into online is because the thing is that computer programmers are pretty open to like helping other people learn how to program, because the whole industry is a lot of, okay, here's a problem, go and search for it on Google. There's a lot of that. And so the more that you put your own resources online, the better, the more everybody does that, then the better able you are to do your job in the long run, right? So there's lots of resources that are free to learn how to code, essentially. So I would not pay for, like a coding course unless you already tried multiple free ones and weren't successful with it. Excuse me. I'm confident that I'm unconfident. There you go. I do want to open a fund. I've been thinking about it a lot. Because I want to open a fund to give people access to hedge fund strategies and private equity. Essentially, I want to create one that is geared towards helping people get the certification so that they can invest in that stuff, open that world of investing to them, because most people can't do that these days. But a year from now, that's going to change, and that seems like an opportunity for us. So the question is just, okay, how do we develop enough of a long-term edge to supplement what we're doing? Because like what we're doing here is like really great on the short term, but I don't think that it would be very effective for a fund. I think for a fund, I would need to take much higher time frames trades. Kind of feel like, for fund strategy wise here, by the way, that it's like if we come back to 4%, I could try going along at 4% and trying to just hold that for a while. Not today. I don't like taking a trade on a Friday, but we're at the beginning of the month too, so that could help. Yeah, I don't know. Like one of the things about coding is that like I can show you examples of things and it's like very, very simple. But then I could show you the stuff that I'm like actively working on right now and beginners would have no clue what I'm doing. So it's the problem with coding, and it's the problem with a lot of things, is that it's not something that you can just read and do. You have to practice it because you have to learn it's like a whole new type of thinking. Which is kind of hard to persevere through if you're learning on your own, unless you're really interested in it, right? Okay, but they did break there, one tick higher. And the dollar continues to fall. Okay, is X thing TA? What I would say qualifies something is TA is looking at data that comes from the exchange and thinking that data will effectively predict the next move or the move within an X time frame. That's technical analysis, right? And the other thing of it, I would say, is that it's based largely on past statistics, right? Now, if I can prove a mathematical behavior in the instrument that leads to a certain behavior consistently happening, now you're a market microstructure, right? Now you're in a different world, right? So what is the alternative? The alternative is know what's going to happen, right? Don't rely on the market generated information. Don't rely on watching other people to try and figure out what's going to happen. Analyze the market for yourself. Understand what people are going to do based on the current economic conditions, and you're one of the first people to trade it, and everybody's following you. Right? People think that pure intraday trading is really a game of following other people. Doesn't work. Not in the long run, it doesn't work. Think of yourself as think of it this way, okay? What if you were me, except for that I was like super popular, right? Like what if there was 1 million people watching this stream? Okay? And I take a trade. I take a trade and 1 million people are watching this stream. Like, that's a big deal, right? That's millions of people that might adjust their own market activity based on what, because everybody's watching me, right? And yes, if somebody wanted to trade against me, you know, that could really work against me. If a big player decided, oh, I'm going to pick on just Seth, right? So in that kind of a situation, what do you do? Well, I tell you what you do. You only trade when you really have the edge. You're going to trade when you'd have to be a complete idiot to know what I know and trade against it. Right? You need to know something that really strongly suggests which way the flows are going to go. If I don't have that, it's not worth trading. Because the way that the market works is it's very statistically efficient. So if you try and trading on any of these statistical things, the net result is that you will lose money, right? Because if you don't have an edge or it's random, you end up losing money from it because of the spread and all these other things. So you have coding for that? Well, so I do think that it is something that could potentially be coded, but not with the data that we have available. Maybe if we were working at Citadel or Renaissance Technologies or Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, then maybe we would have the data to kind of systematize this sort of a thing. But with us as retail traders and being having a limited amount of information available, we just have to research and go when we really actually have something. Well, there was a little bit of commotion there as the treasuries pushed higher again. Those look like pretty persistent, but really slow volume long now in the end. Be interesting to see if they break that high. I think if I still wanted to trade, I would be wanting to try and... I love these kinds of like level break setup sort of things. If it came to like 30, if it ticked up at 30 and then I saw an iceberg there at 30, those are the trades that I like to take. But I don't think I really have anything that really effectively explains why the buyers have been winning out here so far. And it could just be, you know, luck of the draw. I think we're going to have to wait until we see the flows early next week to really see what the market is thinking here. I think that the selling is going to continue, but it may not actually play out that way. Could be wrong on that, in other words. What's this? Nick Timmeros, what does the June jobs report mean for the Federal Reserve? Not much. The data flow since May already made a July hike likely. This report had to be much weaker to change that. Moreover, it doesn't add much to the July debate about whether/when to hike again. And the headline is June jobs report keeps Fed on track to raise rates in July. The concern that I have is that they're going to continue raising rates in August, and I guess we'll see. Kind of backed off a little bit there. S&P 500 has been pretty tight here off of this too, by the way. Does look like the dollar got to 102 and bounced a little bit there. So maybe that's why I think if everyone traded, quote, the right way, there wouldn't be a market. Yeah, you're right. I think you're right. If it wasn't for all of these naive retail traders trying to trade on, patterns and all of this sort of stuff and creating all of this noise in the market, if people only went in and put in trades when they actually knew something, then you wouldn't have a market, because the market makers wouldn't be able to make any money because, the informed traders will just always be pushing it against them. And the informed traders won't be able to execute in the market without tipping off the rest of the market to what they possibly know through their movement. So there has to be a certain amount of noise in the market in order for the market to work. It's an inescapable conclusion that we've come to from, well, let's say me, but I think that the industry has kind of come to based on the research. That's why you don't see Goldman Sachs coming out there and saying, don't trade technical analysis, it doesn't work, right? Because they need the noise. They need the noise. Their opinion is, try whatever you want, and if it works, good for you, right? And I guess that's kind of the approach that I've kind of started to take is like, you guys, my guys, we're going to be successful and we're going to trade. But everybody else that doesn't want to watch us and, is stubborn, yeah, go ahead, keep trading it. Go ahead. So we need noise traders. The more noise traders, the better. The way you feel about volume profile is how you feel about cumulative delta? Okay, well, so now that I have that data set, I think I can go back and I can show you my cumulative delta R2 strategy over 10 years of data. And maybe you'll think otherwise. Because that's one where we have a lot of, use all the framework, all the things that we know about the market and so forth to kind of base that trade off of. And then I back tested and it did well. And we just need a larger data set now. And I feel that it will probably do well. But I'm not going to do that next. I'm going to do the smart money concepts video. Okay, so the smart money concepts video, like I was saying, like with volume profile, I'm not trying to, like I like Futures Trader 71, for instance, right? This is just that particular setup that they talk about a lot because they have all of these statistics about it and everything, it's not actually a very good setup. But the smart money concepts one, that's like, yeah, I'm not going to name the names, but pretty much everybody knows who is the originator of the smart money concepts terminology and everything. And I want to just rip it to shreds and piss off the smart money concepts horde as much as possible with the next video that I'm going to do. Do you know what's the difference between the snapshot and jigsaw and other well, so I don't know if other platforms have that feature, but what the snapshot does is it says when price ticks up or down, it will then show at each price how much the level 2 changed. So you might see a situation where we tick up and 1,000 contracts at 30 half pull, and then you'll see that in the snapshot. Can you run? Well, I think that if we tried a Paul Rotter kind of a setup in these markets, it wouldn't work. I think that a certain amount of naivete was required for Paul Rotter to pull off what he was doing. Because it is kind of a high risk thing. Like if it doesn't work for you and the market calls your bluff and pushes against you, you're screwed. It's high risk. Oh, okay, so 8:55. So it is time for me to get going. Sucks. Took a losing day. Should I put that? Well, what should we put in the time? I'm just going to say it was the non-farms employment numbers. I'm not going to say anything about it. I don't think that non-farms is a useful metric anymore. Not in this market. Not when you're revising the previous month so much and everything. It's just silly. So, I will see you guys Monday. In the meantime, stay excellenting.